Anybody still in here? Anybody still come and listen? I know it's only been a year and a few months. Wow. Shit, it's really dark in here. Huh. Still got it. Welcome back. Eric Hattie, Everyday Hustle. Hey, so it's been a year, 2 months, 2 weeks, and a couple days. Even though the very last episode, I told you that I was getting back into the groove and it felt good to be podcasting. And, then life happened again. And boy fucking howdy, what a year, 2 months, 2 weeks, and a few days it has been. So most importantly, and really the theme of the whole episode today is we're going to talk about corporate layoffs, corporate restructuring, and what bullshit it is to find a new job. So for those of you who don't know, in June of this year, I was part of an executive layoff. Myself and 34 other unfortunate fucks all were told on the same day that we no longer had a job. It sucked. It hurt. It mind fucked me. It took away all of my self-worth and self-esteem and all of my confidence, because, it's way too easy to look around at all the other people who still had a job there and wonder, why me? There were countless people who probably didn't work as hard, didn't care as much, didn't bring as much success and as much value to an organization as I felt I did. And they still had a job. And it took me months. Listen, I'm still struggling with it as we speak. But it took me a long time to start realizing hey, this wasn't personal. It might have very well been personal. I'm sure HR was very quick to agree that I needed to go because I'm so vocal about treating people with respect and paying people what they're worth. And I curse a lot. And, I didn't do myself any favors, as my father would say. But ultimately, they needed to cut money off the top. Basically, my best theory is that this organization just literally took a list of employees, sorted the Excel file by who do we pay the most to who do we pay the least. And then they looked at it and they said, oh, fuck, that's the top ones. That's me. I'm the CEO. I can't fire myself. That's you. And, gosh, that's you. And that's you. We're awesome. We're not the reason that this company's in trouble. So then they start going a little further down the line and now they're into some VPs and some directors. And, I was a handsomely compensated senior director, who brought, a significant amount of new business into the organization, that they're still, living off of today. But all they saw was a big number and they went, oh shit, that's an easy cut. And here I am, no job. So it sucked. I have always been a paranoid employee. I've always treated every day like I'm going to get fired, and not in the awful, I'm going to shit on somebody's desk or, I'm going to set the building on fire kind of way, but just if I don't do my absolute best right now today, I'm going to get fucking fired. And so, I had a healthy fear of getting shit canned every single day for my entire career. And then, one day I wake up and, it's 7:00 in the morning. I'm taking my daughter to gymnastics camp and I get this weird 10-minute invite on my calendar at 9 a.m. with my boss. And I was just oh, that's weird. I just had my one-on-one yesterday, and everything was good. And I spent the next almost 2 hours just dying inside, assuming the worst, assuming that oh man, I'm gonna get fired. I don't even know what I did, but I'm gonna get fired. And lo and behold, about 10 minutes before the call, I'm like, no, that's stupid. There's no way. You're not going to get fired, Eric. You're awesome. Remember? I was like, yeah, you're right. Inside voice, Eric, I am awesome. And I get on this call and very solemn face on the other side. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm getting fired. So yeah, it sucked. I was very fortunate, and I'll pause here for a second because we are in a current landscape, really this whole year, but in the last week or two, it is amplified tenfold that layoffs are happening everywhere. The days of free money from investors and banks is gone because the Fed has raised interest rates, and now the cost of capital is much more expensive. Cost of everything is much more expensive. Inflation is killing everybody, and interest rates are killing everybody. And I get it. However, it breaks my fucking heart that tens of thousands of people are losing their jobs on a weekly basis because businesses are tightening down for a pending recession. It sucks. And so if you're one of the people that was affected by one of these layoffs, whether it was one of the big blue chip brands like Twitter or Meta, Amazon just, hit the news today that they're probably going to be laying off about 10,000 people. If you're one of those, my heart goes out to you, and I absolutely know the pain that you're feeling and the nervousness, if you haven't been laid off yet, that you must be feeling every day coming to work. On the flip side of that, if you're one of the people that's been laid off from a not blue chip company, there was no news articles about my round of layoffs. It was such a small number of people, small number with large paychecks. I feel even worse for you because I scroll my LinkedIn feed every single day, and I'm seeing like, oh my God, if you're, from Twitter or Meta, reach out and I'm going to help you. And I'm like, listen, those people, they're going to be all right. They're coming from a blue chip brand. Just having that name on the resume is a lot. If you come from a no name company and you were part of a layoff, it's a lot fucking harder to find a job. So regardless, it's not a pissing competition of who's affected more or who it sucks for more. I just wanted to make sure that the folks out there from the smaller, lesser known companies, I feel you, I hear you, and honest to God, if there's anything that I can do, it's not much. I learned in the last fucking 5 months that my political capital in corporate America is very little to what I thought it was. But if there's anything I can do, whether it's, looking at your resume, giving you any tips or pointers on how to, make it really sing, how to make it prettier, whatever it may be, please send me an email at eric@erichattie.com. I'll put it right here, and I'll put it in the description of the podcast and the YouTube video as well. But in all seriousness, if there's anything I can do, I want to help. The last thing I'm going to say about layoffs before we move on to, finding a job, is the one thing that I've not been able to shake, is in all of these layoffs, every single round of layoffs, whether it was the company I came from, whether it was fucking Meta or Twitter, there's no executive accountability. Now, this is going to be weird coming out of my mouth, but Mark Zuckerberg actually did the best job of everyone laying off people because he at least vocalized that he was accountable. He was responsible. It was his company, and it was his decisions that led to the layoffs occurring. And you know what? Good on you, man. That's cool. I'm a big believer in personal accountability, especially in the corporate landscape. And thank you for at least vocalizing that to your people. And also, Zucks actually took care of his people. He gave them all 4 months severance plus a couple of weeks for every year they'd been at the organization. And, a whole lot of, perks, if you could call them that, in these people's, termination packages that made it a lot easier of a pill to swallow, being kicked out the door. But here's what bothers me. Whether it's the company I came from, whether it's any of these big blue chip brands or any others, you don't see any executives saying, I'm going to fire myself, or even crazier, you know what? I'm going to cut my pay. I was looking at, Meta as an example. I don't want to pick on Zucks because he was actually the adult in the room, as far as, terminations and layoffs go. But I want to say that his was like, he makes $28 million a year, in some change. And the average salary of, somebody at Meta was in the 200s. And I did the math earlier, and of course I'm unprepared. But it was something like 98 employees, equal his salary. 98 employees at a extremely high median income for a corporate American company. And part of that's they're based in San Francisco. And part of it is a lot of engineers, and that's fine. But he could have, saved 98 jobs and said, you know what? I'm making my money off, my stock and, all of these other things. And you know what? I'm going to take my salary down to $1. And I spared 98 people, or call it an even 100. Take the Steve Jobs approach. I'm going to get mine in stock options and, bonuses from the board and blah, 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 blah. But my salary is $1, evenly split across 26 paychecks. That would be tremendous. If anybody's C-level had been let go the same day as me, I still would have been fucking devastated, but I would at least would have been like, wow, at least they're not afraid to admit that they're the ones who fucked this up. And so, it's tough when you see that CEOs especially are making more money than ever before at a higher ratio than the average worker in their organization than ever before. And they get to go to work tomorrow. And yeah, they're going to get nut punched by the fucking board about, profit margins and, this, that, and the other, EBITDA, but whatever. That's fine, but it's just a nut punch and they still get a paycheck. So that was June 15th of this year. I got fired. And boy, that was a fucking smack across the face. It just knocked the wind out of me. I didn't even know what to say, what to do, where to go. I was just befuddled. And, I walked into the other room. My wife was home that day, and I just looked at her like I had just seen, somebody get fucking murdered. And she goes, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I just lost my job. And full disclosure, I cried like a little bitch for a solid 10 minutes. I just fucking let it all out. I let, years of a toxic workplace just, bubble up to the top on top of the trauma and shock of being told I no longer have a job, and got it all out of my system. And then, I had a moment where I was like, well, what now? Like, what the fuck do I do? And my wife looks at me and goes, do you want to come to the gym with me? Yeah, I got shit else to do. So, and that kind of set the tone for the next few months. Like, I was very fortunate. I was much more fortunate than a lot of people in other companies that were affected by layoffs, in the sense that I did get, some severance. I was cashed out on a bonus. So I had a healthy buffer to get me through to find my next opportunity. And, still scary as fuck. It doesn't matter how big the number was in my bank account. My feeling like any day it's going to be zero and I don't have a job and we're going to lose our house and we're going to lose our cars and my daughter's going to, be homeless and, all these irrational, terrifying thoughts that only ratcheted as every day went by with minimal progress finding a new job. It was, oh man, it was a lot. It's crazy because I'm vocalizing all of it, which I've done countless times. I leaned heavily on my wife and my parents and, my best friend Kyle and, did I already say my therapist? My therapist every fucking Tuesday morning, she thinks I'm a whiny titty baby. But I'm voicing all these things, but just saying it here in this empty room, talking to all 12 of you who actually listen to this, it's bubbling it all up again. That shit was fucking traumatic. And I never want to experience it again. It was awful. God, I always prided myself that I had a break in case of emergency, plan B, plan C, plan D, that, no matter what was thrown at me, I was going to have a fallback. I had a plan to, continue employment or, at least even if it wasn't a lateral move, it was, a slight step backwards or, a change of industry. But I always had, 2 or 3 folks in my pocket that I knew I could call and I would be okay. And so there was after I cried like a little bitch and after all the shock had worn off that first day, I got smug and cocky and was like, I'm about to have an absurd amount of money in my bank account and I've got fallback plans and this is going to be okay. And so I started picking up the phone and break in case of emergency, calling up folks. And every single one of them very uncomfortably was like, oh shit, dude, man, you should have called X number of months ago. We're on a hiring freeze. We're on an external hiring freeze. We're told nothing until the end of the year. And all of a sudden, all of my sure thing backup plans were gone. And then I started to really panic and freak out. Because in my career, my entire life, every job I've ever taken was because of somebody who I knew that I was connected with, that, I was friends with, every single job. And I had never had to go into a company cold and figure out how to, set myself apart from everybody else without, somebody on the inside. And that was fucking terrifying. And, so I, dust off my resume, I make it pretty. I refresh my LinkedIn, I refresh erichaddy.com and I'm blasting, 20, 30, 40 applications every single day. All director level, all VP level. And thinking like, surely, and listen, I'm not the greatest thing ever, but I know how to present myself well. I've got a fucking sexy resume. I've got nobody else. I've yet to come across anybody else in real life who has a URL that's their name with basically a virtual resume with pictures and references and yada, yada, yada. No, I just like, I feel that I present very, very well, and it got me nowhere. Like I might as well have been, just throwing my resume into a trash can for every job I applied to, because I wasn't getting any callbacks. I wasn't getting any response. I was reaching out to recruiters like, listen, I paid the money for LinkedIn Premium. I saw the insights of who the hiring manager was, who the recruiter was. I was burning in-mail credits, introducing myself and getting fucking nowhere. And at the same time, I started connecting with a lot of recruiters and resume writers and headhunters. And I'm seeing all these posts on LinkedIn where just all flabbergasted. Oh my God, I can't believe this candidate ghosted me. And oh my God, these people are asking me how much this job pays before we even get to an interview. And I'm like, yeah, you guys fucking suck. Like, you're not good at your jobs. With a few caveats. There's a few recruiters, especially the one who introduced me to what is now my new job. You're awesome. XOXO. But most recruiters are fucking garbage. They're very rigid. Well, you didn't finish college. Yeah, no shit, dude. But look at everything I've done in the 20 years since then. You fuck nugget. Like, God damn it. It's just mind blowing that people could be so fucking naive, about something as arbitrary as, did you pay lots of money and go get a piece of paper? The fact that recruiters could be so arbitrary. Oh, you didn't finish college. Oh, you're a job hopper because longest you've been somewhere is 4 years. 4 years is a fucking lifetime in corporate America now. Especially, and go back one episode 21, talking about advancement in hood gems, being able to get paid what you're worth in today's economy, in today's corporate climate. It seems like you have to go somewhere else to get paid what you're worth because of all these arbitrary HR rules. The more, like, Michael Scott from The Office was ahead of his time because HR fucking sucks. I fully get it now. And I hate to paint that with a broad brush because, again, I'm sure there are lots of HR folks who are lovely. I happen to work with, I don't know, 150, 200 HR people in the last 5 months trying to find a job. And I can't tell you the number of times I was told, oh, we'll follow up with you. And I got ghosted. Or you have a great call and they say, hey, I'm going to get some times from the hiring manager for an interview and I'll call you back. And I get ghosted. Times where I'm, approached for a job that they get me all excited about. And just to find out a half hour into a call that it's 2 steps below the title that I was, which I'm not a fucking title queen. Call me the janitor for all I care. However, title in corporate America determines pay. And so if you're sending me two tiers down in title, you're sending me 2 tiers down in compensation as well. And that dog don't hunt. It's just, maybe it's not HR. Maybe that's too general. It's recruiters are fucking awful. It was eye opening. I told my wife at one point a month or two ago, I said, if money was no issue, if I won the Powerball tomorrow, my new goal would be to start a consulting firm where all I do is focus on making corporate recruiters better at their job. And it's not even anything to do with the blocks and tackles. It's just about having empathy and being a kind fucking human being with courtesy to people who are going through what is arguably one of the hardest things they're ever going to do in their life, which is get employed after being unemployed. It's not hard. A simple text message or an email. Let's pause there because fuck you and your automated emails. If I got a nickel for every email that I got that was just pre-canned automated, I'd be a rich man. And if I got a nickel for every one that came addressed to the wrong person or had the wrong title or any number of, fill in the blank mistakes that they put into this HR Mad Lib they send out, I'd have about 350. It's just, your job is not that fucking hard. And it's not hard to be a kind, empathetic human being to people who are going through a tough time. Even those who already have employment and are just looking to make a change, it's still one of the most stressful things that they're going to go through because it's diving into the unknown. And if that's my first experience with a company is dealing with some slap nut that doesn't know how to be a kind, empathetic, informative, and courteous human being, I probably don't want to work for that company. or, that company's just going to be a stepping stone to find something that I actually want to be at solely because I need income. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound entitled or tone deaf or privileged, because, I had a severance to fall back on. I had some cushion and I was able to take some time, not by choice, to find, what arguably I ended up in my dream job, for an amazing company, working for an international marketing agency. That's where I want. I could not have asked for a better place to land. But I stepped on probably 200 landmines on the way to the promised land. I don't know. It was awful. So if you're a corporate recruiter, and you're watching this and you've made it, 30 some odd minutes into this, take 5 seconds out of your day to send a text message, not a pre-canned email, make a phone call. Don't be so fucking shy of a lawsuit or litigation, and just tell people why they weren't picked. Because when you give us nothing, when you ghost us or you send a pre-canned HR email, all you're doing is leaving us to wonder why and assume that we did something wrong. And in reality, it was probably an internal candidate. I was probably the fucking show pony they brought in to appease the HR gods and say, hey, we did our due diligence before, you, Mr. Hiring Manager, could just bring Bobby Joe up from some internal position to your team. We explored externally, and these motherfuckers knew the whole time that Bobby Joe was going to get the job. Just tell me that ahead of time. Tell me, hey, there's X number of internal candidates that are in the running for this job. And, I'm still going to give you the time, but I'm certainly going to temper my expectations of, will I actually get this job or not? It's transparency, courtesy, empathy, kindness. That's all you have to fucking do. Right now, you guys are in the holy grail of job seekers, and you have your pick of the litter. But just because you get to pick the best doesn't mean you get to shit all over the rest. I had gone almost 4 months in, and I was really starting to become cynical and lose hope and think the worst. And there was, I was talking to my therapist, and I said, listen, I have 3 opportunities that are they're slow, but I think they're going to come to fruition. And, I was right on the same day. Well, that's a lie. In the same week, I got 3 different offers. The offer for the company where I'm at now, which super grateful for, love where I'm at, couldn't ask for a better place. But there was another company, and I'm not going to name names. Let's just say this is a story built on, some poor business practices. But every interview, with this other company, the calendar invite, was director of sales. And I was already like, I was a senior director, but you know what? Buck up, Eric, because director is better than, no director title at all. And, so I had 5 interviews with this company, which also, timeout. I knew in the first 3 dates with my wife that I was going to marry that woman. Like, when you know. There's nothing you can get out of me after a second or third interview that you haven't already gotten out of me. And so either A, bring all the decision makers to one panel interview, or B, tell all these not decision-making figureheads in the organization to fuck off and just trust that the hiring manager knows what they're doing, and trust that HR and, recruiters have done the due diligence to bring the best possible. Don't fucking trust recruiters. That's a joke. Oh, I'm going to get myself in trouble. No, you don't need more than 3 interviews to hire somebody, period. There's no fucking excuse to make a interview process drag out for over a month with multiple interviews. So back to the story. And, I was very transparent. I said, hey, there's another company that I'm very interested in. I think an offer is, or actually at that point, the offer had come. I'm definitely interested in seeing if you guys were going to take this to the point of an offer, and what that offer would be. And, and I don't want to pressure you. This is not a salesman move. This is just, I'm genuinely curious. Either way, no hard feelings. I'm transparently letting you know that there's an offer out there, and I'm curious if you guys wanted to follow suit. And, kind of a shitty response, kind of snarky. Day goes by and I'm like, well, Eric burned that bridge, but that's okay because this company I really wanted to go to has this offer and I'm going to take it. And I'm at the gym with my wife and I get an offer from this, other company. And, I see the email and I get all excited, but then I open the email and I'm like, this is a sales executive position they're offering me when I had spent the last month of my life interviewing for a director level role with them. I had told them very transparently what I was making in my previous job. And, I knew that was a high number and I gave them a realistic number that was the bare minimum that I wouldn't go below that number. And they came in with an offer almost $50,000 below that. And, it was a gut punch. It was more than a gut punch. It was just a giant middle finger from this company. And, the guy calls me, oh my God, did you see that email? Are you so excited? And I was like, I'm not. Not in the slightest. This is not the job we discussed. This is not the compensation we discussed. And you were kind of an asshole yesterday on the phone. So no, I'm not excited. I'm insulted. And the guy's like, whoa, what would it take? What would it take? And I said, well, the title we discussed, the compensation we discussed, and, don't be an asshole. I didn't say that, but don't be an asshole. And let me go back and see what I can do. I was like, oh, okay. This other company's waiting for me to accept this offer that I'm actually going to take because it's real. It's the right title. It's the right compensation. It's, it's marketing, which I've always wanted to be in. So the guy gets off the phone and then about 6 hours later, I get a fucking pre-canned email from their HR department saying, thank you for your interest in this organization. At this time, we're going in a different direction. And it was the wrong title. It said it was for a financial analyst role. It actually had my name on it though. And then nobody from this company would return my phone calls. So you know what? I dodged a fucking bullet. That would have been as toxic, if not more toxic than where I came from. So no, I don't want to work for you. I'm going to go to this company that I wanted to go to and be in marketing and enjoy life. It was eye opening. And I'm sure anyone who's listening to this, who has gone through, a job search, while unemployed, you can relate to this fully. The bullshit that is the job seeking market. You got a bunch of crotchety old cobweb covered, conservative white men that are like, nobody wants to work. You're making it real hard to work because I would literally suck dicks to go work right now. And I can't get through to a decision maker. And when I do, you don't want to pay market value. It was eye opening. Anyway, I truly hope that I never have to go through that again. That was one of the worst experiences of my life. It was traumatic. It was frustrating. I'm still not okay from it. I'm still struggling with self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence. And I openly told my new boss, look at me like a shelter puppy. I was battered and abused, and it's going to take me a little while to not flinch every time you raise your hand. It's fucked up. It's sad that that's what is being done to people in this day and age. But it's also been eye-opening. I I said it in a LinkedIn post a while ago where I was really trying to pull the heartstrings of people to get some referrals and some connections. But, the plus side of all of it was I gave my daughter a summer that she has never had in her life, and she'll probably never have again, because dad was home all day, every day, and was bored and willing to do all kinds of fun shit. I got to date my wife for, a whole summer, and doing lunch dates and working out together. And honestly, that's kind of been the hardest part of going back to work is, all of those things that I found went away. It's been a weird adjustment. I am super stoked to have a job again. I am super stoked that I got to retain title, and I'm in the ballpark of the same compensation, and, I get to be in marketing space and work with blue chip brands and still be in a business development capacity. And that shit's all great. But most importantly, it's helped me kind of reprioritize and reshape what the rest of my future should look like. Through all of this, emotional warfare, and depression, it took a toll on my health. I'm the heaviest I've been in a long time. I lost a lot of the progress I made at the gym, in the early part of the summer, when I was carefree and thought I was going to land somewhere immediately. The key for me has been, okay, let's build a real routine. Let's stick to the routine, and let's make sure that our priorities are where they need to be and that I'm putting myself first. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to be the best possible employee, but it means that I'm going to have boundaries and that I'm going to always take care of myself and my family first, and the rest we'll figure out from there. But, part of these new routines and sticking to them, the great news for all 6 of you that are watching is this podcast is going to be part of it. I truly enjoy, talking into a void and getting to play in, Creative Cloud with the video editing and the audio, editing, and, that's just my jam. And, I got to do things that make me happy, because it's been rough, and happiness and self-fulfillment is what I need right now. So to summarize, I done lost my job. It done sucked. I done found another one. And if you're going through any one of those 3 stages, my heart goes out to you, and I am here to help in whatever limited capacity that might be. If you just need to vent, if you need a resume, proofread, if you just, whatever, email me, and I will try to help as best I can in whatever capacity that may be. This one was a bit of a therapy session. I should have been laying on a couch for it, but I promise the rest are going to get back to the old, upbeat, cynical, snarky, enthusiastic entrepreneurship and salesmanship. But I just, I had a lot to get off my chest. So hopefully, I'm not making any fucking promises, but I'm going to do my best to make this part of a weekly routine, get some content out there, get back to doing interviews. And it's part of a bigger ploy to make myself more present in the LinkedIn space, especially as I go out hunting for these large companies in a marketing capacity. So if you made it this far, I truly appreciate you. And, my name's Eric Hattie, and this is Everyday Hustle. And I promise the next one won't suck.